Welcome to Stoic Vivu, where ancient wisdom creates modern professional success. I'm here to show you how 2,000-year-old business and leadership principles can solve the career challenges that keep ambitious young professionals stuck, frustrated, and uncertain about their professional future. You know that feeling when you're working incredibly hard, but somehow your career isn't advancing as quickly as you hoped. Maybe you watch colleagues get promoted while you wonder what they know about office dynamics that you're missing. Perhaps you're torn between job offers and can't figure out which choice will actually build the career you want long-term. Or you might be struggling to stand out in a competitive workplace where everyone seems to have the inside track on success except you. Here's what most career advice completely misses about professional achievement. The strategies that create lasting career success aren't modern innovations, but ancient principles that have guided successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals for over 2 millennia. While your competition focuses on trending business theories and the latest productivity hacks, you can gain an enormous advantage by mastering the timeless fundamentals that never go out of style. Marcus Aurelius built and managed the largest organization in human history while maintaining his integrity and philosophical principles. Seneca accumulated substantial wealth through strategic thinking and wise investments while serving as an advisor to multiple Roman emperors. These weren't lucky breaks or special circumstances. They were the predictable results of applying specific professional habits that you can learn and implement in your own career. The remarkable thing about ancient Stoic business wisdom is that it was developed by people who faced professional challenges far more complex and dangerous than anything we encounter in modern workplaces. If these principles could help someone maintain professional success while governing an empire during wartime or building wealth in politically unstable environments, they can certainly help you navigate contemporary career challenges with confidence and strategic clarity. Today, you're going to discover 8 professional habits that these ancient leaders used to create what we're calling unstoppable career success. This isn't success that depends on perfect economic conditions, supportive supervisors, or favorable industry trends. This is the kind of professional achievement that grows stronger through challenges and creates opportunities even in difficult circumstances. Each habit addresses a different aspect of professional development. Some will help you understand how to build something meaningful from the very beginning of your career. Others will teach you how to navigate workplace politics without compromising your integrity. You'll learn how to make strategic decisions about when to act quickly and when to be patient, and how to build the kind of professional relationships that accelerate your career advancement. These ancient professionals understood that sustainable career success requires both competence and character. You need technical skills and strategic thinking, but you also need the wisdom to make decisions that serve your long-term professional goals rather than just providing immediate gratification or social approval. Your transformation toward unstoppable career success begins with understanding that professional achievement isn't about playing politics or cutting corners, but about building genuine value and maintaining the highest standards of excellence and integrity in everything you do. Professional habit 1. Build lasting success by starting strong from nothing. You're sitting in a sleek Chicago coffee shop, laptop open, staring at what feels like the most daunting professional challenge of your life. Maybe you're launching your first business with nothing but an idea and a few $100s in savings. Perhaps you're starting a new job in an industry where you know absolutely no one and feel completely out of your depth. Perhaps you're 28, navigating a new career path and feeling a decade behind as you watch younger, more established colleagues in a field where you're a complete novice. The overwhelming nature of this moment captures exactly why most people never achieve the professional success they truly want. They look at successful entrepreneurs, established professionals, or industry leaders and assume these people possess some natural advantage, special connection, or lucky break that made their success possible. This assumption creates a psychological barrier that prevents most people from even attempting to build something meaningful because the gap between where they are and where they want to be seems impossibly large. Here's the foundational professional truth that changes everything about how you approach career building and business development. Every single person who has ever achieved meaningful professional success started from exactly the same place you're starting from right now. They had 0 customers, 0 professional reputation, 0 industry connections, and 0 proof that their ideas would work in the real world. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle intimately because he inherited the Roman Empire not as a finished, perfectly functioning system, but as a collection of complex challenges that required systematic, patient building every single day. His personal writings reveal how he approached imperial leadership not as someone who naturally knew how to govern millions of people, but as someone committed to learning, improving, and building administrative excellence through consistent daily effort. The ancient Stoics developed what they called the discipline of action, which means understanding that all meaningful achievement begins with small, often invisible steps that seem insignificant in isolation but create compound effects over time. This principle applies whether you're building a business, advancing in a corporate environment, developing professional expertise, or establishing yourself in any competitive field. Consider what actually happens when you observe someone's professional success from the outside. You see their current results, their established reputation, their confident decision-making, and their apparent ease in handling complex challenges. What you don't see is the years of patient daily work, the countless small failures and adjustments, the gradual skill development, and the systematic relationship building that created the foundation for their current success. Every business starts with a single customer who decides to trust someone with no track record. Every professional reputation begins with one person choosing to give you an opportunity despite your lack of experience. Every industry expertise develops through thousands of small learning experiences, mistakes, corrections, and improvements that accumulate over months and years of consistent effort. The daily habit that builds this foundational professional strength involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced during his most challenging leadership moments. Instead of focusing on the enormous scope of what needed to be accomplished, he concentrated entirely on making the next right decision, taking the next appropriate action, and maintaining excellence in whatever task was immediately in front of him. This approach transforms overwhelming professional goals into manageable daily actions that create momentum rather than paralysis. When you're starting a business, instead of worrying about how you'll compete with established companies, you focus on creating exceptional value for your first customer. When you're beginning a new career, instead of comparing yourself to experienced professionals, you concentrate on learning faster and contributing more than anyone expects from someone at your level. The key insight involves understanding that professional success isn't about having perfect conditions or superior advantages, but about building systematically and consistently regardless of your starting circumstances. Marcus Aurelius inherited an empire facing plagues, wars, and political instability, yet he built one of history's most effective administrative systems by focusing on daily excellence rather than perfect circumstances. Start implementing this habit by identifying the single most important action you can take today that moves you toward your professional goals, regardless of how small or seemingly insignificant that action might appear. This could be sending one professional email, making one phone call, writing one page of a business plan, or learning one new skill that enhances your capabilities. The confidence and momentum that develop through this approach create what successful entrepreneurs and professionals call competitive advantages. While others wait for perfect timing, ideal conditions, or obvious opportunities, you're building capability, relationships, and expertise through consistent daily action that compounds into substantial professional achievement over time. Most importantly, this habit teaches you that professional success isn't about dramatic breakthroughs or lucky discoveries, but about developing the character and discipline to continue building even when progress feels slow, results seem distant, and external circumstances create challenges that test your commitment to long-term professional excellence. Professional habit 2. Create professional value through diverse life experiences. You're sitting in a New York City boardroom, surrounded by colleagues who all seem to have followed the exact same career path. They attended similar schools, worked at comparable companies, and developed expertise in narrow, specialized areas that everyone considers standard qualifications for your industry. As the meeting progresses and you're asked to contribute ideas for solving a complex client problem, you hesitate, wondering whether your unconventional background and varied experiences have any value in this highly professional environment. This moment of uncertainty represents one of the most common mistakes that ambitious young professionals make when building their careers. They assume that professional success requires following predetermined paths, accumulating standard credentials, and thinking within established industry boundaries. This assumption not only limits their potential contributions, but also eliminates one of their most powerful competitive advantages in increasingly complex and rapidly changing business environments. The ancient Stoics understood that wisdom and capability developed through exposure to diverse challenges, perspectives, and problem-solving contexts, rather than through narrow specialization or repetitive experiences within comfortable boundaries. Marcus Aurelius didn't become an effective emperor by studying only political theory or military strategy in isolation. His leadership effectiveness emerged from integrating philosophical study with practical governance, military experience with diplomatic negotiation, and personal reflection with public responsibility. Similarly, Seneca's business acumen and financial success didn't result from focusing exclusively on wealth accumulation or political maneuvering. His strategic thinking capabilities were developed through combining philosophical inquiry with practical business experience, literary pursuits with political involvement, and personal relationships with professional obligations. This integration of diverse experiences created unique perspectives and problem-solving approaches that set him apart from contemporaries who followed more conventional paths. The fundamental insight that transforms how you think about professional development involves recognizing that modern business challenges require creative solutions that emerge from combining knowledge, skills, and perspectives from multiple domains, rather than from deep expertise in single, narrow areas. The most valuable professionals in any field are those who can connect insights across different disciplines, industries, and experience types to generate innovative approaches that specialists might never consider. Consider how this principle applies in contemporary professional contexts where industries are converging, technology is disrupting traditional business models, and global competition requires constant adaptation and innovation. The professional who has worked in startups and corporations brings different perspectives to problem solving than someone with experience only in large organizations. The person who has lived in different countries or worked with diverse populations understands market dynamics and customer needs that someone from a homogeneous background might miss entirely. Your varied life experiences, even those that seem unrelated to your current profession, create what cognitive scientists call associative thinking capabilities that allow you to recognize patterns, connections, and solutions that others cannot see. The time you spent working in customer service teaches you about human psychology and communication that enhances your effectiveness in any role involving people management or client relationships. The experience of learning a foreign language develops cognitive flexibility and cultural awareness that improves your ability to navigate complex, multicultural business environments. The daily habit that transforms diverse experiences into professional advantages involves what Seneca practiced throughout his career as philosopher, businessman, and political advisor. He actively sought connections between different areas of knowledge and experience, constantly asking how insights from one domain might apply to challenges in another area. This cross-pollination of ideas and perspectives created innovative solutions and strategic approaches that distinguished his contributions from more conventional thinking. Building this habit requires developing what ancient Stoics called the discipline of study, which means actively extracting valuable insights from every experience and considering how those lessons might enhance your professional capabilities. When you travel, you observe different approaches to business, customer service, and problem solving that might improve your own work. When you engage in hobbies or volunteer activities, you develop skills and perspectives that often transfer to professional contexts in unexpected ways. The practical implementation begins with conducting an honest inventory of your life experiences, identifying the knowledge, skills, and perspectives you've gained from activities that might seem unrelated to your current profession. Perhaps your experience playing team sports taught you about leadership, collaboration, and performance under pressure. Maybe your involvement in community organizations developed your project management, communication, and consensus-building abilities. Next, practice articulating how these diverse experiences enhance your professional value proposition. Instead of apologizing for an unconventional background or trying to hide experiences that don't fit standard professional narratives, learn to explain how your unique combination of experiences creates capabilities that more traditional candidates might lack. Most importantly, continue actively seeking diverse experiences throughout your career rather than settling into narrow professional routines that limit your learning and growth. The professional who remains curious about different industries, cultures, ideas, and challenges will always possess competitive advantages over those who focus exclusively on climbing predetermined career ladders within familiar environments. Consequently, this approach creates what successful entrepreneurs and innovators call hybrid thinking, where solutions emerge from combining insights across different fields and experiences, leading to breakthrough innovations that specialists working within single domains rarely achieve. Professional habit 3. Navigate any workplace politics with strategic wisdom. You're walking into your Los Angeles office building on Monday morning, still processing the weekend email chain that revealed a complex web of competing agendas, hidden alliances, and unspoken tensions among your colleagues and supervisors. Your direct manager seems to be at odds with another department head over resource allocation. Two senior executives are clearly positioning themselves for an upcoming promotion, and their rivalry is creating pressure for everyone to choose sides. Meanwhile, your project depends on cooperation from people who appear more interested in protecting their territories than achieving shared organizational goals. This scenario perfectly captures the reality that derails more promising careers than lack of technical competence or insufficient work ethic. Most young professionals enter the workforce expecting that excellent performance and genuine effort will naturally lead to recognition and advancement. They assume that workplace relationships operate according to straightforward principles of fairness, merit, and mutual respect. When they encounter the complex social dynamics, competing interests, and political maneuvering that characterize virtually every organization beyond a certain size, they feel unprepared, frustrated, and often choose responses that damage their professional prospects rather than advancing them. The fundamental challenge involves learning to navigate these interpersonal and organizational complexities without compromising your integrity, losing your authentic personality, or becoming the kind of manipulative person you probably dislike working with yourself. Most people assume they face a binary choice between remaining naive and idealistic about workplace relationships or becoming cynical and politically calculating in ways that feel dishonest and exhausting. Marcus Aurelius and Seneca both mastered this challenge because they operated in political environments far more dangerous and complex than any modern workplace. Ancient Roman politics involved life-and-death consequences for making wrong alliances or misreading power dynamics. Yet both philosophers maintained their ethical principles while achieving remarkable success in highly competitive, often treacherous environments. Their approach provides a sophisticated framework for modern professionals seeking to advance their careers while preserving their character and authentic relationships. The ancient Stoic insight that transforms workplace politics from an obstacle into an opportunity involves understanding the difference between tactical awareness and strategic manipulation. Tactical awareness means accurately perceiving the interests, motivations, and relationship dynamics that influence how decisions get made in your organization. This knowledge allows you to communicate more effectively, build more productive relationships, and contribute more successfully to shared goals without requiring you to compromise your values or engage in deceptive behavior. Strategic manipulation, by contrast, involves using your understanding of workplace dynamics to advance your personal interests at others' expense, typically through deception, exploitation, or artificial alliance building that serves your agenda rather than legitimate organizational objectives. This approach creates short-term advantages but ultimately undermines trust, damages relationships, and limits long-term career prospects because people eventually recognize and avoid colleagues who operate from purely self-interested motives. Marcus Aurelius developed what he called the discipline of justice, which means consistently choosing actions that serve the common good while simultaneously advancing your legitimate personal and professional interests. This approach requires understanding that workplace politics often emerge from genuine differences in perspective, competing priorities, and resource constraints, rather than from personal animosity or deliberate obstruction. When you encounter resistance to your ideas or projects, instead of immediately assuming that people are being difficult or territorial, practice investigating the underlying concerns or constraints that might be driving their responses. Perhaps the marketing department seems uncooperative because they're dealing with budget cuts that you weren't aware of. Maybe your supervisor appears unsupportive because higher-level strategic changes are creating pressure that affects how your work fits into broader organizational priorities. The daily habit that builds this sophisticated political awareness involves what Seneca practiced throughout his career, advising Roman emperors while maintaining extensive business interests. Each evening, he would reflect on the day's interpersonal interactions, considering not just what happened on the surface, but what underlying interests, concerns, or pressures might have influenced people's behavior and decision-making. This reflection process helps you develop what successful leaders call systems thinking, where you understand how individual personalities, departmental goals, organizational constraints, and external pressures interact to create the complex dynamics that characterize every workplace. Instead of taking political behavior personally or responding reactively to frustrating situations, you learn to see patterns and systemic factors that allow for more strategic and effective responses. Building this capability requires practicing genuine curiosity about other people's perspectives and challenges, rather than assuming that their behavior reflects their opinions about you personally. When someone seems resistant to collaboration, ask questions that help you understand their constraints, priorities, or concerns. When conflicts arise between departments or colleagues, look for ways to identify shared interests that could form the basis for productive problem-solving rather than choosing sides in zero-sum competitions. The practical implementation involves developing what ancient Stoics called sympathia, which means recognizing that everyone in your organization is dealing with their own pressures, limitations, and objectives that may not be immediately visible to you. This understanding doesn't require you to agree with everyone or accommodate unreasonable behavior, but it allows you to respond more skillfully to complex situations by addressing underlying issues rather than just surface-level symptoms. Most importantly, this approach creates what experienced professionals call political capital, where your reputation for understanding multiple perspectives, contributing to solutions rather than problems, and maintaining integrity under pressure makes you someone that others want to work with and support for advancement opportunities. Over time, this strategic wisdom becomes one of your most valuable professional assets, enabling you to achieve your career goals while building genuine relationships and contributing meaningfully to organizational success. Professional Habit 4. Master professional timing to maximize career opportunities. You're staring at your phone screen in your Manhattan apartment at 11:30 on a Sunday night, reading an email from a recruiter about what could be the career opportunity you've been waiting for. The position offers everything you thought you wanted: significant salary increase, prestigious company name, and responsibilities that would accelerate your professional growth. But something feels off about the timing. You've only been in your current role for 8 months, have just started working on a project that could establish your reputation, and your manager recently hinted about upcoming opportunities for advancement within your existing company. This moment of career uncertainty illustrates one of the most sophisticated professional skills that separates highly successful people from those who remain perpetually frustrated with their career progress. The ability to recognize when to act quickly versus when to exercise strategic patience determines whether you build sustainable professional success or fall into patterns of constant job hopping, missed opportunities, and suboptimal career decisions that limit your long-term potential. Most young professionals approach career timing from one of two equally problematic extremes. Either they become paralyzed by analysis, waiting for perfect conditions that never arrive, or they react impulsively to every opportunity, change, or external pressure without considering long-term strategic implications. Both approaches prevent the kind of thoughtful, deliberate career building that creates lasting professional success and genuine satisfaction with your work life. The ancient Stoics faced this exact challenge because they operated in environments where timing decisions often carried life-and-death consequences. Marcus Aurelius had to master the art of strategic timing while governing an empire during plagues, wars, and political upheaval. He couldn't afford to be either too reactive or too passive, because both approaches would have resulted in catastrophic consequences for millions of people under his leadership. His approach to timing decisions, which he developed through years of philosophical study and practical application, provides a framework that modern professionals can use to make career choices that build cumulative advantage rather than creating constant disruption and instability. Marcus Aurelius understood that effective timing requires balancing immediate opportunities against long-term strategic objectives, while maintaining enough flexibility to adapt when circumstances change in unexpected ways. The fundamental insight that transforms how you approach career timing involves recognizing the difference between genuine opportunities that align with your strategic objectives and attractive distractions that appear beneficial in the short term but divert you from more important long-term goals. This distinction requires developing what ancient Stoics called practical wisdom, which means the ability to evaluate complex situations by considering multiple time horizons and competing factors simultaneously. Consider how this principle applies when evaluating job opportunities, career transitions, or major professional decisions. A genuine opportunity enhances your capabilities, expands your network, and positions you for future advancement in directions that align with your authentic interests and values. An attractive distraction might offer immediate benefits like a higher salary or social recognition, but doesn't contribute to building the kind of expertise, relationships, or reputation that creates sustainable career success. Seneca, who built substantial wealth while maintaining his philosophical principles, developed specific criteria for timing decisions that allowed him to recognize when markets, political conditions, or business opportunities were optimal for action versus when patience and preparation would be more strategic. His approach involved constantly gathering information about changing conditions while maintaining clear priorities about what kinds of opportunities deserved immediate attention versus which ones could wait for better timing. The daily habit that builds this sophisticated timing judgment involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced during his most challenging leadership decisions. Each morning, he would review his current situation and upcoming choices through 3 different time lenses: immediate consequences that would affect the next few days or weeks, medium-term implications that would influence the next few months or years, and long-term effects that would shape his legacy and ultimate objectives. This 3-horizon analysis prevents both impulsive decision-making that sacrifices long-term interests for short-term gains and excessive caution that causes you to miss time-sensitive opportunities while waiting for perfect conditions that may never materialize. When you consistently evaluate career choices through this framework, you develop intuitive timing skills that allow you to recognize optimal moments for action while avoiding premature moves that could damage your professional trajectory. Building this capability requires developing what successful entrepreneurs and executives call pattern recognition, where you learn to identify recurring signals that indicate when markets, organizations, or career opportunities are entering phases that favor bold action versus periods that reward patience and preparation. This skill comes from actively studying how timing has affected other people's career success and failures, combined with systematic reflection on your own experiences with well-timed versus poorly timed professional decisions. The practical implementation begins with creating personal criteria for evaluating opportunities based on your authentic career objectives rather than external expectations or social pressure. When facing significant career decisions, ask yourself whether this opportunity builds toward your long-term vision, enhances your capabilities in meaningful ways, and positions you for future opportunities that align with your values and interests. Most importantly, this approach creates what experienced professionals call strategic patience, where you become comfortable declining attractive opportunities that don't serve your long-term objectives while remaining alert to genuine chances for advancement that merit immediate, decisive action even when the timing feels somewhat uncomfortable or uncertain. Professional Habit 5. Maintain peak performance while managing life's challenges. You're sitting at your desk in a bustling Chicago office, trying to focus on a critical presentation that's due tomorrow while your phone buzzes with text messages about your father's recent health scare that requires immediate family decisions. Your mind keeps drifting between quarterly sales projections and medical appointments, between strategic planning and insurance paperwork, between the professional composure your colleagues expect and the emotional turmoil that comes with watching a parent face serious illness. Meanwhile, your supervisor has made it clear that this presentation could significantly impact your upcoming performance review and potential promotion. This overwhelming scenario represents one of the most challenging professional skills that separates truly successful people from those whose careers plateau when life becomes complicated. The ability to maintain excellent work performance while managing significant personal challenges determines whether you build a reputation for reliability and competence or become someone whose professional contributions become unpredictable whenever external circumstances create stress, distraction, or emotional difficulty. Most young professionals assume that personal and professional challenges are naturally incompatible, believing that serious life difficulties automatically excuse declining work performance, or that maintaining professional excellence requires suppressing or ignoring personal problems until they resolve themselves. Both approaches create long-term career damage because they fail to recognize that life will always present challenges, and professional success requires developing systems for managing competing demands rather than hoping for periods of perfect stability that rarely exist. The ancient Stoics mastered this challenge because they operated in environments where personal and professional pressures were often life-threatening and always interconnected. Marcus Aurelius governed the Roman Empire while dealing with personal tragedies, family conflicts, and health problems that would overwhelm most modern professionals. His approach to maintaining leadership effectiveness during personal crises provides a sophisticated framework for contemporary workers who need to excel professionally while navigating complex life circumstances. The fundamental insight that transforms how you handle competing demands involves understanding the difference between emotional reactions to challenging circumstances and the professional actions that those circumstances require. Personal difficulties naturally create emotional responses like worry, sadness, anger, or fear that are completely normal and healthy parts of human experience. However, these emotional responses don't have to determine the quality of your professional decision-making, communication, or work output if you develop proper systems for managing the relationship between your internal experience and your external performance. Marcus Aurelius developed what he called the discipline of action, which means learning to separate your emotional processing from your professional responsibilities while ensuring that both receive appropriate attention at suitable times. This approach doesn't involve suppressing emotions or pretending that personal challenges don't affect you. Instead, it requires creating clear boundaries around when and how you address different types of concerns so that each area of your life receives the focus it deserves without undermining the others. Consider how this principle applies when you're dealing with relationship problems, financial stress, family health issues, or other personal challenges that naturally create ongoing anxiety and distraction. The undisciplined approach involves either bringing these concerns into every professional interaction, creating inconsistent work quality and uncomfortable dynamics with colleagues, or attempting to completely compartmentalize personal issues, which often leads to increased stress and eventual emotional breakdown that affects everything. The disciplined approach involves acknowledging personal challenges honestly while creating specific times and boundaries for addressing them that don't interfere with professional responsibilities. This might mean scheduling specific periods for handling family logistics, financial planning, or emotional processing while protecting your work time for focused professional attention. It could involve being strategically transparent with supervisors about personal circumstances that might affect your schedule while maintaining complete professionalism in how you manage any necessary accommodations. Seneca, who maintained extensive business interests while serving as advisor to Roman emperors during politically dangerous periods, developed specific practices for managing competing demands that required both emotional intelligence and strategic thinking. His approach involved what modern psychologists would call cognitive compartmentalization, where different life areas receive appropriate attention at optimal times rather than creating constant internal conflict by trying to address everything simultaneously. The daily habit that builds this sophisticated life management skill involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced during his most challenging periods of imperial leadership. Each morning, he would identify his professional priorities and personal responsibilities for the day, then create specific time blocks for addressing each type of concern while maintaining clear boundaries between different areas of focus. This planning prevented personal challenges from creating professional chaos while ensuring that important life issues received adequate attention. Building this capability requires developing what successful executives call professional discipline, where your work performance remains consistently excellent regardless of personal circumstances, because you've created reliable systems for managing competing demands rather than depending on perfect life conditions that rarely exist. This discipline involves learning to use focused work time as a productive distraction from personal stress, while using personal time to address life challenges without letting them spill over into professional interactions. The practical implementation begins with creating clear physical and temporal boundaries between different life areas. This might involve designated workspaces that are protected from personal distractions, specific times for handling family or financial concerns that don't interfere with professional responsibilities, and communication protocols that allow you to address personal emergencies without creating unnecessary workplace drama or inconsistent professional availability. Most importantly, this approach creates what experienced professionals call career resilience, where your reputation for reliability and excellence becomes even stronger during challenging periods because colleagues and supervisors learn that they can depend on your professional contributions regardless of external circumstances. This reliability becomes one of your most valuable career assets because it distinguishes you from others whose professional performance fluctuates with their personal circumstances, making you someone that organizations want to retain and promote even during difficult economic or industry conditions. Professional Habit 6. Advance your career by making everyone around you successful. You're walking into the Monday morning team meeting at your New York office, and you notice something that makes your stomach tighten with competitive anxiety. Your colleague Sarah has just been promoted to the senior analyst position that you've been working toward for months. She's younger than you, joined the company after you did, and frankly, you're not entirely sure what she did to deserve this advancement over other qualified candidates. Your immediate internal response reveals everything about whether you understand how career advancement actually works versus how most people think it works. If your first instinct involves analyzing what political advantages Sarah might have had, what connections she leveraged, or what mistakes you made in positioning yourself for the promotion, you're operating from the scarcity mindset that keeps most professionals stuck in cycles of frustration and limited advancement. This approach assumes that career success operates like a zero-sum competition where other people's achievements automatically diminish your own opportunities, and where the primary path to advancement involves outcompeting colleagues rather than creating value for the organization. However, If your response involves genuine curiosity about what specific contributions Sarah made that demonstrated her readiness for increased responsibility, and if you immediately start thinking about how you can learn from her approach while identifying ways to support her success in her new role, you're demonstrating the abundance mindset that characterizes the most successful professionals in any field. This counterintuitive approach recognizes that career advancement typically comes to people who consistently make others around them more successful, rather than those who focus primarily on their own individual achievement. The ancient Stoics understood this principle intimately because they operated in political and business environments where long-term success required building coalitions, developing loyal relationships, and creating value for multiple stakeholders simultaneously. Marcus Aurelius didn't maintain power and effectiveness as emperor by outcompeting potential rivals or hoarding opportunities for personal advancement. Instead, he built his reputation and influence by consistently making his advisors, generals, and administrators more successful in their own responsibilities, which created a network of people who had strong incentives to support his leadership and contribute to shared objectives. Similarly, Seneca's business success and political influence didn't result from zero-sum competition with other wealthy Romans or imperial advisors. His approach involved identifying ways to create mutual benefit through strategic partnerships, collaborative ventures, and relationship-building activities that enhanced everyone's capabilities and opportunities while advancing his own legitimate interests. This approach created compound returns where his success enabled others' success, which in turn created more opportunities for everyone involved. The fundamental insight that transforms how you approach career advancement involves understanding that modern organizations, like ancient political systems, operate as complex networks of interdependent relationships where individual success depends heavily on your ability to contribute to collective achievement. The professional who helps colleagues solve problems, makes supervisors look good, and contributes to team success creates what management experts call positive-sum outcomes, where everyone benefits rather than competing for limited resources or recognition. This approach requires developing what ancient Stoics called the discipline of service, which means consistently looking for ways to use your skills, knowledge, and effort to enhance other people's effectiveness rather than focusing exclusively on personal advancement or recognition. When you make your supervisor more successful by anticipating their needs, preparing a thorough analysis, and executing projects excellently, you demonstrate readiness for increased responsibility while building a relationship with someone who has direct influence over your career progression. When you help colleagues succeed by sharing knowledge, providing support during challenging projects, and contributing to collaborative problem-solving, you develop a reputation as someone who enhances team performance rather than creating competition or conflict. This reputation becomes extremely valuable because organizations naturally promote people who improve group dynamics and collective results, rather than those who excel individually but create tension or competition within their teams. The daily habit that builds this service-oriented approach to career advancement involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced throughout his reign as emperor. Each morning, he would identify specific ways to support the success of people around him, from his immediate advisors to the citizens of the empire. This practice wasn't altruistic self-sacrifice, but strategic relationship building that created networks of mutual support and shared success. Building this capability requires shifting from a competitive mindset that views colleagues as obstacles to advancement toward a collaborative mindset that recognizes colleagues as potential allies whose success can accelerate your own career progression. This shift involves actively looking for opportunities to contribute to other people's projects, sharing credit generously when collaborative efforts succeed, and developing a reputation for being someone who makes teams more effective rather than someone who creates internal competition or political tension. The practical implementation begins with conducting an honest assessment of how your current behavior affects the people around you. Do your colleagues see you as someone who helps them succeed, or as someone who competes with them for recognition and opportunities? Do your supervisors view you as someone who makes their job easier through excellent work and proactive support, or as someone who requires constant management and creates additional complications? Do you contribute to positive team dynamics through collaborative problem solving and generous knowledge sharing? Or do you create subtle tension through competitive behavior and credit seeking? Most importantly, this approach creates what successful executives call leadership capital, where your reputation for enhancing collective success makes you someone that organizations want to promote because they trust you to improve performance and relationships at higher levels of responsibility. Over time, this service-oriented approach becomes a powerful competitive advantage because it distinguishes you from professionals who focus primarily on individual achievement while building the kind of collaborative skills that become increasingly important as you advance into leadership positions that require managing complex teams and organizational relationships. Professional Habit 7. Choose strategic growth over quick money for lasting wealth. You're standing in your Los Angeles apartment kitchen at 6 in the morning, coffee in hand, staring at two completely different job offers that represent fundamentally opposing philosophies about building professional success and financial security. The first offer provides an immediate 30% salary increase, impressive title, and the kind of lifestyle upgrade that would let you move to a better apartment, drive a nicer car, and finally afford the social activities that make you feel successful when you compare yourself to friends who seem to be advancing faster than you are professionally and financially. The second offer pays 15% less than your current salary, but it would place you in an environment where you'd work directly with industry leaders who have built the kind of businesses and careers you ultimately want to create for yourself. You'd develop skills that compound over decades rather than just performing tasks that pay well immediately. You'd build relationships with people who could become mentors, partners, or collaborators in future ventures that could create substantial long-term wealth rather than just steady paychecks. This decision point perfectly illustrates the most critical financial and career choice that determines whether young professionals build lasting wealth and sustainable success or remain trapped in cycles of increased consumption that require ever higher salaries to maintain while never creating the kind of financial independence or professional autonomy that allows for genuine security and freedom of choice. Most people make these decisions based on immediate emotional satisfaction rather than strategic long-term thinking because they haven't developed a sophisticated understanding of how wealth actually builds over time versus how it appears to build in the short term. They see successful people driving expensive cars, living in impressive homes, and enjoying luxury experiences, then assume that these consumption patterns represent wealth rather than recognizing that these visible signs of affluence often indicate high spending rather than high net worth. The ancient Stoics understood this distinction intimately because they operated in economic environments where the difference between genuine wealth and impressive consumption could literally mean the difference between survival and destruction during political or economic upheaval. Seneca, who accumulated substantial wealth while maintaining his philosophical principles, developed sophisticated approaches to financial decision-making that prioritized long-term security and strategic capability over short-term comfort or social status. His financial philosophy, which he developed through years of practical business experience combined with philosophical reflection, provides a framework that modern professionals can use to make career and financial choices that build compound wealth, rather than impressive lifestyles that require constant high income to maintain but provide little actual financial security or professional autonomy. The fundamental insight that transforms how you approach financial and career decisions involves understanding the difference between assets that generate ongoing value and expenses that provide temporary satisfaction. This distinction applies whether you're choosing between job opportunities, deciding how to spend salary increases, or evaluating investment opportunities that could enhance your long-term financial position. Assets in professional contexts include skills that become more valuable over time, relationships with people who can create opportunities for collaboration or advancement, a reputation for excellence that opens doors to better opportunities, and experience in areas that position you for leadership roles or entrepreneurial ventures. These professional assets compound in value because they create additional opportunities, increase your earning potential, and provide options for career advancement or business creation that wouldn't be available otherwise. Expenses in professional contexts include lifestyle upgrades that require ongoing high income to maintain, consumption patterns that absorb salary increases without building lasting value, and career choices that provide immediate financial rewards but don't develop capabilities or relationships that create long-term opportunities. These financial obligations often become golden handcuffs that prevent career risk-taking or entrepreneurial ventures because they require a consistent high income to sustain. Seneca practiced what he called the discipline of resources, which means systematically evaluating financial and career choices based on their long-term impact on your capability and autonomy, rather than their immediate impact on your comfort or social status. This practice involves asking whether each significant financial decision increases your options and opportunities over time or decreases them by creating ongoing obligations that limit your flexibility and risk-taking capacity. Consider how this principle applies when evaluating career opportunities that offer different combinations of immediate compensation and long-term development potential. The strategic choice often involves accepting lower immediate compensation in exchange for access to learning, relationship building, and skill development that create compound returns over years or decades. This approach requires developing what successful entrepreneurs call delayed gratification discipline, where you consistently choose long-term advantage over short-term satisfaction. The daily habit that builds this strategic financial thinking involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced while managing the enormous resources of the Roman Empire. Each significant resource allocation decision was evaluated not just for immediate benefits, but for long-term strategic impact on the empire's capability, security, and prosperity. This same framework applies to personal financial and career decisions, where each choice either builds or diminishes your long-term wealth-building capacity. Building this capability requires developing sophisticated criteria for evaluating opportunities based on their contribution to your financial independence and professional autonomy, rather than their contribution to your immediate lifestyle or social status. This involves learning to recognize the difference between career moves that enhance your market value and those that simply provide higher immediate compensation without building transferable skills or valuable relationships. The practical implementation begins with conducting an honest assessment of your current financial obligations and career trajectory to determine whether your choices are building wealth-generating assets or simply supporting higher levels of consumption that require ongoing high income to maintain. This analysis often reveals opportunities to redirect resources towards skill development, relationship building, or strategic experiences that create compound returns rather than just immediate satisfaction. Most importantly, this approach creates what successful entrepreneurs and investors call financial optionality, where your reduced dependence on immediate high income provides flexibility to pursue opportunities that could create substantial long-term wealth but require accepting short-term financial uncertainty or reduced consumption. Over time, This strategic approach to financial and career decisions builds the kind of genuine wealth that provides security, autonomy, and the ability to pursue meaningful work rather than just high-paying work. Professional Habit 8. Apply ancient time principles to modern career strategy. You're sitting in your Chicago apartment on a Sunday evening, laptop open, trying to plan the upcoming week while feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of competing priorities demanding your attention. Your inbox contains follow-up requests from 3 different networking events. Your calendar shows back-to-back meetings that leave no time for deep work on strategic projects. And you're supposed to prepare for a presentation that could significantly impact your career trajectory. Meanwhile, you know you should be investing time in skill development, maintaining relationships with mentors, and working on the side project that could eventually become a business opportunity. This scenario captures the fundamental time management challenge that prevents most ambitious professionals from building the kind of sustainable career success they genuinely want to achieve. They understand intellectually that time represents their most valuable and irreplaceable resource, yet they struggle to allocate this precious resource in ways that create compound returns rather than just addressing immediate urgencies and social obligations that consume energy without building lasting professional value. The problem isn't a lack of time management techniques or productivity systems, because most motivated professionals have experimented with various organizational methods, digital tools, and efficiency strategies that promise to solve scheduling challenges and optimize daily routines. The deeper issue involves lacking a philosophical framework for making strategic decisions about how to invest time in ways that build cumulative advantage over years and decades rather than just maintaining current obligations and responding to external pressures that rarely align with long-term career objectives. The ancient Stoics developed sophisticated approaches to time consciousness because they recognized that temporal awareness represents the foundation for all other forms of practical wisdom and strategic thinking. Marcus Aurelius, who managed the enormous temporal demands of governing an empire while maintaining his philosophical development, created specific practices for balancing immediate responsibilities with long-term strategic investments that compound over time to create extraordinary results. His approach to time management, which he recorded in his personal meditations, provides a framework that modern professionals can adapt for building career success that doesn't require sacrificing personal development, meaningful relationships, or authentic values in pursuit of external achievement. Marcus Aurelius understood that sustainable success requires integrating multiple time horizons simultaneously rather than constantly choosing between short-term obligations and long-term strategic investments. The fundamental insight that transforms how you approach career planning and daily time allocation involves recognizing that time operates according to different rhythms and requires different types of attention depending on whether you're addressing immediate tactical concerns, medium-term strategic projects, or long-term vision development. Each temporal category deserves systematic attention, but mixing these different time horizons creates confusion and ineffectiveness that prevents meaningful progress in any area. Immediate tactical concerns include daily responsibilities, urgent communications, and short-term deadlines that require focused execution within days or weeks. These activities maintain your current professional position and ensure that existing obligations are fulfilled excellently, but they rarely create breakthrough opportunities or significant advancement unless they're connected to broader strategic frameworks that guide their selection and prioritization. Medium-term strategic projects include skill development initiatives, relationship-building activities, and capability enhancement efforts that require consistent investment over months or years to produce meaningful results. These activities create the foundation for career advancement and professional growth, but they often get postponed or abbreviated when immediate pressures consume available time and mental energy. Long-term vision development includes philosophical reflection, values clarification, and strategic planning activities that shape the overall direction and purpose of your professional life. These activities determine whether your career builds toward authentic fulfillment and meaningful contribution, or simply responds to external expectations and opportunities that may not align with your genuine interests and capabilities. Seneca, who maintained extensive business interests while serving as imperial advisor during politically dangerous periods, developed what he called the discipline of temporal allocation, which means creating systematic approaches for ensuring that each time horizon receives appropriate attention without allowing urgent concerns to completely overwhelm strategic investments or long-term vision development. The daily habit that builds this sophisticated time consciousness involves what Marcus Aurelius practiced during his most demanding periods of imperial leadership. Each morning, he would allocate specific time blocks for immediate responsibilities, strategic projects, and reflective planning, then protect these allocations against the constant pressure to respond reactively to urgent communications and unexpected demands that could easily consume entire days without creating meaningful progress toward important objectives. Building this capability requires developing what successful executives call temporal sovereignty, where your time allocation reflects your authentic priorities and strategic objectives rather than simply responding to the loudest external demands or most immediate pressures. This sovereignty involves learning to distinguish between activities that feel urgent because of external pressure and activities that genuinely deserve immediate attention because of their impact on important outcomes. The practical implementation begins with conducting what ancient Stoics called a temporal audit, where you systematically track how you currently spend time across different categories and time horizons to identify patterns that either support or undermine your long-term career objectives. This analysis often reveals that immediate tactical concerns consume disproportionate attention, while strategic investments and vision development receive inadequate focus despite their greater impact on long-term success. Most importantly, this approach creates what experienced professionals call strategic momentum, where your daily time allocation systematically builds capability, relationships, and opportunities that compound over time to create career trajectories that exceed what would be possible through reactive time management or purely tactical focus. Over time, this temporal discipline becomes one of your most powerful competitive advantages because it allows you to invest in long-term success while maintaining excellence in immediate responsibilities, creating the kind of sustainable professional achievement that combines external success with internal satisfaction and authentic contribution to meaningful work that serves purposes larger than personal advancement. And your professional success journey begins today. You now possess 8 powerful professional habits that can completely transform your career trajectory, moving you from reactive responses to workplace challenges toward the strategic, purposeful approach that ancient leaders used to build lasting success, while maintaining their integrity and philosophical principles. These aren't theoretical concepts to admire from a distance, but practical daily tools that create competitive advantages through consistent application in real professional environments. Think about how different your career becomes when you master the foundational habit of building systematically from small beginnings rather than waiting for perfect opportunities or ideal conditions. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you develop confidence that comes from understanding how every meaningful professional achievement starts with focused daily action that compounds over time. Imagine approaching workplace politics with the strategic wisdom that allows you to navigate complex organizational dynamics without compromising your values or authentic relationships. When you've learned to create professional value through diverse experiences, master optimal timing for career decisions, and maintain peak performance during personal challenges, you develop the kind of professional resilience that actually strengthens through adversity rather than crumbling when circumstances become difficult. The transformation happens through strategic implementation rather than attempting to change everything simultaneously. Choose 2 or 3 habits that address your most significant professional challenges and practice them consistently for the next month. Perhaps you begin each week by identifying opportunities to make colleagues and supervisors more successful while protecting time for strategic skill development that builds long-term career assets. Maybe you practice evaluating opportunities through multiple time horizons and applying ancient principles of resource allocation to modern financial and career decisions. Remember that Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus developed these practices while facing professional challenges far more complex and dangerous than contemporary workplace pressures or economic uncertainty. If these habits could help someone maintain excellence while governing an empire during wartime, building wealth in politically unstable environments, or teaching wisdom while navigating complex social hierarchies, they can certainly help you create unstoppable career success in your professional environment. The ancient Stoics understood that professional achievement isn't about compromising your values for advancement or sacrificing personal development for external success, but about building genuine competence and character that creates sustainable value for yourself and others. When you've built your career on this foundation, economic downturns, industry changes, or organizational restructuring become opportunities to demonstrate your capabilities rather than threats to your professional security. Your journey toward unstoppable career success begins today with the decision to apply these ancient habits to your modern professional challenges. Start with small, consistent actions that align with your authentic values and long-term objectives. Then trust that systematic daily practice will create the professional transformation you're seeking. If this video has helped you understand how to build sustainable career success through ancient wisdom, please subscribe to Stoic Vivu for more practical philosophy that addresses the real professional challenges you face in contemporary workplace environments. Hit the like button if you're ready to start implementing these professional habits, and share this content with anyone who could benefit from learning how ancient Stoic practices create unstoppable career success in our modern economy. Your support helps us continue bringing you the timeless wisdom that transforms professional lives through daily practice and strategic character development.